I've got a million things I want to ask you. One of them, I mean, maybe just on a very macro scale, like you helped found Ethereum starting in 2014. You're, kind of in the Ethereum world. I guess left for like an EF, like an Ethereum Foundation like entity late, I think it was 2015. And then I think left the Ethereum ecosystem full time in 2017 for Polkadot. I
Mm.
think I'm getting those dates right. I would love, I mean, TLDRs, you've been in the industry for a very long time, longer than most who are listening to the show. I'd love to just get your macro view on like just crypto as an industry. Like, are you happy with where we're at so far? Are you like overwhelmed with, oh my God, pro crypto president right now, stable coins are booming? Or are you like underwhelmed and like, damn, like I really thought we'd be much farther along than we are today?
The latter.
Say more.
Um, I think it was Gandhi that said there's two types of people in the world: those who do the work and those who take the credit. And I think we see a certain bifurcation of crypto in this regard as well. There's a lot of hype-driven projects out there in the crypto world, in the crypto industry, and not that many that are doing legit work. I mean, there's certainly some that are doing, some proper software engineering, but actually pushing the original sort of Web3 crypto Bitcoin ideals forward, really not that many. Um, Whereas there are an awful lot of people trying to, so to speak, take the credit, which is to say, try to find that buzz and that hype, that capital inflow to make their token go up. And this is, I mean, it's not surprising, really, but it's yeah, I mean, it's not where I would have hoped to be.
You put this underwhelmed feeling um, in the hands of, you think the industry has misallocated attention?
Dramatically, dramatically. And I mean, there was an old cartoon in this very ironic newspaper, the Viz, back in the 90s, and it had an advert, in an ironic advert, right, a comedy advert. Um, no technological nonsense, just marketing breakthrough. Right, that was the advertising line. And this, I fear, is really where an awful lot of crypto industry is at. It's not about it's not about delivering a new utility. It's not about improving the technology to the degree that it becomes actually a viable social operating system. Right. This is really just about trying to attract more money um, into their specific economies.
So maybe if I had to take the other side of it, just to make this a fun conversation here, the other side of the argument is that all technology industries have these boom and bust periods of like crazy attention, but really like when the tide goes out, maybe when the tide goes in, everything feels like it has attention and hype. When the tide goes out, maybe one of the 10 things is left standing, or three of the 100 things are left standing. And actually, hype is what ends up building all the companies, and then most of them fail, but the ones that stick around, I mean, the hype is actually warranted, and that's just part of there's two sides of building a company. There's the engineering and product, and I know you're an engineer's engineer, but the other side is long, sustained periods of hype, and that would be bucketed as like marketing and sales, I guess I'd say. So is there, I don't know, I'm curious to just hear how you think about that.
So promotion is certainly an element of marketing. Um, it is not all of marketing by a long shot. And I would say hype is really just a form of promotion that tends to be chronically tends to chronically disregard the fundamentals. Now,
Hmm.
you're right. Like hype can have a collateral benefit, right? It can benefit uh, broad numbers of projects. It can be the tide that lifts all boats to some extent, sure. But the problem is that if only one or two boats are sort of deserving to be lifted, hype represents an incredibly inefficient capital allocation, not one that Adam Smith would be particularly impressed with, right?
Yeah.
And that's the main problem here.
Who's deserving of it? Like, is Hyperliquid deserving? Is Solana deserving? Is WorldCoin? I'm thinking of like very hyped projects who
Mm.
also have talented founders. You know, obviously, I think you and I would be in the same bucket that, you know, something like meme coins, like a lot of hype, maybe not a ton of talent behind a lot of these things, but there are things that get a lot of hype but have you know, actually very talented founders and, you know, real users and stuff like that. So how do you, who's warranted of the hype?
Real users, um, I would argue, maybe not. And of course, there are some founders that are talented. The question is, are those talents um, are those talents for the good? In whose interests are those talents working? And I do not. I believe there are certain meme coin founders that are incredibly talented. I mean, you might argue they're quite lucky as well. And I would say like part of being talented is making your own luck.
So like,
But
let's talk Solana, right? Solana, Hyperliquid, or WorldCoin. Like,
mhm,
I'm using three very hyped up projects,
mhm.
who I think they also have talented teams. How do you think about those kind of folks?
I think they're very talented in making themselves money.
Who's to say though that? So okay, well, I don't know. It's got, who's to say though that the users on Solana are not doing things that are productive? It's they're just
Um,
choosing what to trade, what basically what to do, right? And it's kind of the free market that lets them do that.
yeah, so I would question the utility that is being provided. Now, if the utility
Mm,
is unlicensed gambling, if you consider that a utility, that is actually not fair gambling either. That's mostly insider trading, and just the appearance of gambling. If we start thinking of like utility as basically the ability for an elite group of insiders to make themselves a lot of money, then, and I don't see this as a sensible form of utility, but if you're going to argue that is, then sure, um, then Solana is giving utility.
mm,
If we're talking about creating a social operating system, the thing that sort of the original Web3 hype cycle started with, then no, I do not see Solana as doing particularly substantial utility. And I've written quite extensively about this. And this is why the jam is a thing, right? It's
right.
because I see that the direction that Solana is going, and I see that it's wrong. And
Mhm.
I've made clear arguments as to why it's wrong.